And we're pleased to welcome back good friend of the show, good friend of mine, Hogan Gidley. He's the National Press Secretary for the Trump campaign, the re-election campaign. Thank you for joining us, Hogan. Let's start with the Biden speech yesterday. This week, we talked a little bit about what was going on, this $2 trillion in taxes. That was a red flag for me. What about you? What does the campaign see as some of the weaknesses in that Biden speech?
It's not just necessarily the speech, which was horrible in its own delivery and the way Joe Biden likes to talk to the people, but the policies were developed basically from the socialist wing of the party. I mean, he parroted and plagiarized the Bernie Sanders of the world, the AOCs of the world. That should be most concerning to the American people. I mean, he bragged about getting rid of 10 million jobs associated with the oil and gas industries. I mean, that's a dangerous place to be for the economic well-being, our safety and security throughout the world. I mean, he wants us to become dependent on foreign nations for our energy sources. That's a complete difference between what Joe Biden wants and what President Trump wants, and quite frankly has done. We're now energy independent in this country. We're not beholden to those in the Middle East or the whims of Russia for our oil and gas. Our prices aren't pegged to those foreign nations. And now Joe Biden wants to take us back and make us dependent on those other places. That's nowhere the American people want to be. It's dangerous, not just for national security, but also it hurts families. I mean, talk about a tax increase. You pointed out $2 trillion. He actually bragged in totality about $4 trillion. Hillary Clinton ran on $2 trillion in tax increases and lost. And Joe Biden was waiting in the wings saying, here, hold my beer. I'm going to double that and make it worse on the American people. It's incredible what he's trying to pass off as good policy.
See, there you go, Hogan. We've been friends a long time. Your press secretary. That line was great. Here, hold my beer. You could have just upped the game a little bit and said, hold my Corona. That would have been killer line. I watched this, and I think a lot of people were waiting for Joe Biden to stumble or to have some sort of brain freeze where he would forget where he was or forget a line. He didn't seem to do that. So let's take this a little step forward. President Trump has said Joe Biden doesn't know where he is half the time. Did he kind of re-earn some of his credibility in that speech?
Well, look, Joe Biden is going to make mistakes. He's going to make gaffes. He's going to say the wrong town. He's going to point to weird stories in his past about how children love to rub his leg hair. That's just who he is. But the media is going to cover for that. The real issue with Joe Biden are his policies. And let's be clear, you don't have to guess what an economy under Joe Biden would look like. We saw it for 8 years. Depressed wages, 60,000 manufacturing plants closed, 700,000 jobs lost just because of his NAFTA position. China got 3.5 million of our jobs because of the policies Joe Biden put in place because of his decisions. You don't have to guess. Also, look at our city streets, our safety and security of our American families. You don't have to guess what a Joe Biden America could look like when people were looting and rioting and beating people within an inch of their lives just for protecting their own businesses. Innocent Americans suffered. Joe Biden said nothing. And when he finally came out of the basement bunker, he says, hey, I think defunding the police is something we should look at. We should explore. And some of these police officers are enemies to the American people. That's dangerous. So make no mistake, our jobs aren't safe with Joe Biden. Our families aren't safe with Joe Biden. Our American way of life sure isn't safe with Joe Biden. And it's because his policies are waging war on all three.
I have about 30 seconds or so. And the question is, he's been in Congress. He's been in government for 47 years. He has a lot of complaining going on for the way things are now, and he's had a ton of time to make some changes. Final thought.
Absolutely. Look, Donald Trump's been president for 3 years. He's running on his record. Joe Biden has been in office for half of a century and is running on things he wants to do. He's running on things he wishes that could happen. He's been in the seat of power. If only Joe Biden had an elected office from which he could make these changes, maybe even close to the president. That's right. He was vice president for 8 years and did nothing. And the things he did put in place only went to hurt the American people and crush the American middle class. Donald Trump has rebuilt all that. A Joe Biden presidency would take us backwards, not forwards. It would be a loss to America.
Hogan Gidley, next time you're in town and we're in a pub together, I'm going to ask you, hold my Corona. Hogan, thank you very much. For weeks now, we've been emailing the Biden campaign to come on this show. It's just a small sample of the requests we've made right here. I mean, pages of this. We haven't heard back from them at all. So if anyone from the Biden campaign is watching, let us know a time and a place, and I'll make sure you will be on this show. We'll get to you. We'll come to you. It doesn't matter. Middle of the night, we'll send a camera crew and we'll do this on our show. So, extended invitation. Mr. Biden, what do you say?